the best. I might need to call you on like a landline, but you tell me if you can hear me properly.
I hear you now.
So yeah, so it started at when I was at school. I went to a boarding school, was dyslexic, didn't know what I was going to do, very creative. And I read Richard Branson's book, and so when I read that, I was like, oh, that sounds so cool and so fun, and why aren't there more women who do that? Still like continued on, really not knowing what I was going to do. And then London was just this tech bubble. So I'd go to all of these events and it was so optimistic. You know, you had entrepreneurs who like solving big world problems. And I was like, oh, I love the energy. And it was just anything could happen. Mm-hmm. And then I worked, I basically applied, put on my CV. I wanted to work for a startup. I only had training really like very basic, like not much work experience really. And then, I got into a startup and we were building kind of like a Facebook, but with all of this other functionality. And I was project managing a team there. So that's when we were all really young. And so ever since then, you know, I've enjoyed the process of the startup world. So that was like working in a really, really small company and then worked in a big one. So like HelloFresh and Badoo, that like bigger, successful company. So it's good to see the kind of diversity there. Mm-hmm. During COVID-19, I was really consulting brands in sports, music, and fashion to move into NFT games and metaverse space, doing a lot of research on what was happening, you know, lots of calls, so many Zoom calls, reading white papers and things. And my main was Extreme International. So I grew up watching them when I was young. In England, you had Extreme TV, which was really cool. I mean, I don't watch it that much, but it was definitely part of the culture. And then there was Fashion TV. Those were the two like things that were on TV all the time. And Alistair set up Extreme International, and we still work together a lot, and he's very super inspiring. So I was introducing them to like Animoca Brands and Meta and Dapper Labs. Lots of conversations and which went nowhere. Lots of like pie in the sky, like big ideas. Oh, we're going to create this metaverse, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, then I worked for Move AI, which was great motion capture. And it kind of bridges both the media world because it's all with like a iPhone camera and the animation world. So you can pretty much do a film of something and then also get the motion capture to do the animation. So super inspiring.
Right.
But they've gone for someone more senior in term because they brought in someone from Amazon. They're like, you know, this is going to be a SaaS business model, blah, blah, blah. We need someone who's like really done this in marketing. So I'm no longer with them. And yeah, now I'm doing two things. So I've got Fashion AI in the fashion generative AI space, I suppose it is, because what we do is weekly competitions. And then hopefully we can have build up some educational materials to go from AI to 3D, like Clove 3D. And then whether it's augmented reality or animation in Unreal Engine or a showroom, there are lots of creative possibilities. So I'm not like super, I don't know most of these tools, but I'm trying to learn myself, and some of the community are quite experienced in one area or another. So I'm hoping that the community will start to kind of, you know, teach each other and be able to collaborate and things like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
And we're kind of experimenting a little bit with the generative AI, maybe for materials are slightly easier to use that and then put it into like Clove 3D on garments. Then if you use Midjourney to create images, they're so high quality, so intricate, it's quite hard to convert that to Clove 3D and then augmented reality, which is quite low poly. So that's one thing that I'm doing. And then the second thing, which is again with Alistair, who I worked with before, is this generative AI conference. He really wants to move into the space. He's been running events for a long time. And it's a short time window. It's now till May is going to be the virtual one, and then June is going to be the real life one. If it
Where?
goes well in June, then there'll be another one on October in like, we're looking at Dubai, New York, San Francisco is probably the best place. But yeah, so really
Awesome.
exciting. And
Wonderful.
it'll be a chance to meet, developers who know how to do neural networks and things like that. So
Cool.
just so many
No,
creative
amazing.
possibilities. I'm just really excited right now. I was so trapped in my previous job,
Yes, I know.
that
I know how it
now like
feels.
I'm out of it. I'm like, I've come out like a volcano because I was like holding everything in for so long.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably what you feel, like that energy of like bursting out.
It's cool. No, I love it. It's really
So that's
engaging
me.
and inspiring. Yeah, I feel you. Super, super good work at the Fashion AI Discord. I can see how active, you are and how proactive actually, and how much this is needed right now. Like this is huge. This was the first time I actually tried, the fashion generation, the AI fashion generation on the chat.
Did you? Oh my God.
It was huge. I'm like, this
That's
is
so cool.
historical. I'll be referencing that forever.
Yay.
So thanks for providing that space, that container.
What I
It really
like is
means
I'm
a
just
lot.
trying to I'm trying to make something that's like warm and friendly, like non-judgmental, and I think that's so important.
Yeah, it feels like that. And you've been also active on the Future of Fashion group on Telegram. Are there any other groups on Telegram that you feel like are aligned these days, or the Future of Fashion one is the most active one? I mean, you have now the Fashion AI one, which I'm excited about. I think it will grow exponentially.
I would say that, yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I really hope so. I'm not in that on Discord. I'm in DressX and the Fabricants. On Telegram, I don't know. If you know of any other good groups, I'd love to join them for sure.
No, but Discord,
I'm
how
part
do
of
you
quite
feel?
a few like blockchain crypto groups.
How do you feel about the Discord versus Telegram communication so far in your experience? Are you actively engaging in the other Discords?
I would say no, less so. I know. I think like Discords, you can do things like there are events, there are voice chats. What I really like, which I'm kind of discovering all of these things really. Like I am new to Discord and I'm liking it for some things. For example, with the Midjourney and the bots, that's pretty cool. What I don't like about it is I find it really hard to know who everyone is.
Oh yeah.
And because I totally get that people's like are anonymous, but when they're a different name and different platforms, I get a bit confused.
I know we all do. It's a big problem.
So that side, Telegram I really like. Yeah. It's not just me then.
No.
And then Twitter Spaces is really nice because it's like you can, when you're just focusing on what people are saying and not looking at them, you can almost concentrate more. It's like podcasts. I really like listening.
Totally.
So yeah, what about you? What do you find with these channels?
Well, I've been like on and in and out of Discord, different ones. I've not been really actively participating, just because it felt very noisy and it felt like overload of GMs and not much real value, if you know what I mean. And yeah, it just felt like very like discussions weren't held. And what I feel in the Telegram group for now, for the one that connected us, that I could authentically express myself. And even though my opinion could have been different from many other people's opinions, at least I knew that there were reactions and engagement and people were responding. And I felt, wow, this is good. These are what these communities are for, to voice things out before maybe I put it in a writing, in a more like a long posts, and invest more energy in it, so I could like test drive certain concepts among this very futuristic community that I love a lot. So I really hope you grow. I mean, both Discord, because Discord has this chat bot kind of thing, integrations. But I think the Telegram will be more for people who are more of like, thought leaders and creative collaborators of the future. And there's more action driven, I think on Telegram somehow. I just feel it. And also you can also hold these events there that are voice only or videos as well. I mean, Telegram is a pretty good tool for communications in terms of like group events as well. I'm coming from a Russian speaking world, so there's a lot of the Russian speaking world is on Telegram, because in Russia specifically we have can you imagine, Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn blocked, and all meta platforms as well blocked. So we have to use a VPN to use it, or VPN makes internet connection very slow. I'm on VPN here right now, so that's why there's also delay in connection.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why Telegram, and it's one of the founders of Telegram. The founder of Telegram is the same founder as our local Facebook. It's called Vkontakte, VK, and it's one of the biggest technology firms right now here. So he's huge, but he lives in Dubai. He left Russia a while ago, like many years ago, actually, like in 16 or 17.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved. Oh, really?
I'll give you time to respond.
I really like what you said about having a place where you can be like safe to like discuss things, which are like, not necessarily what everyone's thinking. I don't like being in groups where everyone's like, it's like preaching to the choir, and they're all like, it's like part of everyone's thinking the same. I don't really like groupthink too much. I prefer when there is diversity, or when you have a debate, and that's actually something I really want to do in the conference, have real debates, people on completely opposite sides talking and discussing.
Very cool.
And so I'm really, really into that sort of side of things. And it would be great to have, I don't know how to introduce that into Fashion AI, because it's more about creative collaboration and just things. But I think what there is like with the competitions, because if you think about fashion shows, a lot of them are to do with a brand, and they've got their brand guidelines, and they're targeting a certain, usually it's quite aspirational luxury or whatever it is, a certain group of people. What I'm doing with the competitions is it's more like story or a theme, and then people can interpret that the way they want.
Yes.
And it's just interesting the way people interpret it, or it's like completely meshing together two different cultures, which are a completely different side, and creating something new, and like almost breeding it together, this weird concoction. So I really like that. So one of the guys in the group called Jean, and I spoke to him, he creates some quite gory things, but he's a transhumanist. I didn't know anything about transhumanism.
Oh, wow.
But it's really interesting. It's kind of about humans merging with technology and
singularity,
changing their genetics to survive, extreme, basically, to like if there's really extreme conditions, like humans will need to evolve, and they might need some help to do that. So I thought that was really cool, and he wants to do some projects along that. So I'll definitely do a fashion show around transhumanism. And then what you were mentioning about, was it about Atlantis and things like that?
Lemuria, Atlantis, Hyperborea, yeah, like the ancient civilizations that have been kind of hidden from us in a way. Yeah. This is huge. This is a very interesting topic. I'd love to have a space to discuss this, or even share a presentation on it.
That would be huge. Yeah.
Awesome.
I like the idea of having someone who really, really understands those stories, even if we just call it a story.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Some people will think it's fact, and some people will say it's fiction. Sometimes it's easier to kind of say, oh, this is like fantasy and fiction, even though it's probably more like people are just tapping into their memory.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, it's memories.
More than anything. And to kind of distill that, and then allow people to kind of create artwork around that, and fashion is just like a gateway. Of course, then people can kind of go off and they can create their worlds, and they can create avatars and create a game or a movie. But obviously Fashion AI focusing on the fashion side, but it would be really super cool to kind of bring that into it. So open to any ideas that you have for that.
Cool, cool. Yes, I'll think about it now that I know that there could be a platform for it, like within your network that you're building. I will think of how to package that in a way that is more or less relatable and engaging. Yeah, that sounds really cool. But tell me more about the
Cool.
conference. I'd like to hear like what are your target, I guess, audience and target participants. Who have you already confirmed if you
Awesome.
have? Would love to hear that part.
Yeah. So the I firstly reached out to my network. So I've got a lot more women than men at this stage in time. So we've got kind of like my initial speakers, like just very like from my network. And then there are kind of three parts. So one is technologists, like pure technologists who are talking about like neural networks and like how all of this works under the hood. And I'll be like really kind of like geeking out on that side. Then there'll be the creatives. So we'll definitely have like a creator exhibition. So whether they're AI artists or videographer, all of that sort of artwork. Also, audio visual types of things. That's probably going to be more on the kind of entertainment side. We've got a really cool venue for the evening. And it'd be nice for people to just have like a nice drink and look at art and things like that. So you've got that side. Then we've got startups and probably going to do like a pitch competition to VCs. And then within the startup ecosystem, there are different channels. So there's text AI, there's video AI, there's 3D AI, and then there's music AI. I'm sure there are others, but we're kind of focusing mainly on the kind of media creative piece as opposed to like healthcare or fintech or anything like that. And then there's the legal side, legal ethics, bring in some lawyers, policymakers to start debating that side of things.
Cool. Amazing. Yeah.
So a real mix of
Yeah.
people.
I would love to participate one way or another. So
But
look,
that's what will make it interesting.
the thing is like I'm currently so next Friday, this Friday actually, I'm speaking at this new conference. For now it's going to be online, but really good people are hosting it. I'm going to be speaking about decentralized identity and network states. So everything has to do with what that
Perfect.
idea of starting your own country, what it entails, and what kind of options are there out there, and what has already been created. And in the context of AI, I would like to expand that theme and kind of like, because like preparing for a presentation, like a keynote or even like a panel on this topic takes a lot of energy and time and a lot of conceptualization of and integration of knowledge. So I'm really enjoying that part. I love preparing for it. So as I'm preparing for that, I'm thinking about further topics, and the further topics would be how how the AI will be basically helping people navigate between different network states and help them find the better one for them and their needs and their preferences. Because right now I'm working on this idea of network state alliance and helping different network states integrate their best practices with each other. Do you know what I mean? Like really help each other openly share what's happening in their development. So I'm focusing on that right now, and I'm in touch with several network states and several I guess tools that run network states. So it's like jurisprediction creation, the decentralized identity systems, profiles, everything has to do with like Web3 based nations. And I would love to talk about the topic of like just imagining the topic of how AI could be basically like a overall governing system for, or like how humanity can run on AI, basically. I mean, it's very close to transhumanism as well. I've lived in New York for the past 14 years, and in New York, I've been going to events on singularity and, transhumanism and IoT, Internet of Things, and wearables a lot. Like New York has been really rich on these. I'm sure London as well, but like for me, New York was like the place where I would like study all these like edgy and fringe topics back in the days. I was one of those people, one of those first women